My name is Celeste.
And I'm Des.
And we are hosting the Fall 2018 USC Viterbi Live Chat.
The live chat is where a panel of Viterbi students like ourselves, engineering students, will be answering questions submitted by you guys through, the viterbivoices.usc.edu/live website.
Yeah, and believe it or not, just a few years ago, we were in your exact position, deciding what school you're going to go to, and that's why we're here to answer questions on everything you have questions about: internships, social life, study abroad, and all those different things. And we've already received a lot of questions on our website, but if you're still tuning in, you can ask questions through the form, and we'll try to get to them by the end of the hour we have today.
And we'll start off by telling you guys a little about who we are and what we do. We can start over here.
Yeah. So my name is Celeste. I am a junior studying mechanical engineering in Viterbi. I do a few different things on campus. One is I'm in Troy Camp, which is an organization that works with kids in the community around USC. We take them to summer camp for free and then have programs for them all the way through high school. And then I'm also in the 3D printing club, which Jose was also in. And through that, I'm on the medical devices team. And so I work with a doctor at the Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. And we're working on bringing 3D printing into the field of radiation oncology, which is really fun. And we made Halloween masks for kids last month, so that was really cool. I'm also a freshman academy coach, which is a class that you would take if you were a freshman at Viterbi. And then 2 summers ago, I did research on campus in a tissue engineering lab. And then last summer, I worked at a general contractor doing energy efficiency projects in the LA area. So yeah. Wow.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Zach. I'm a sophomore studying computer science games from San Antonio, Texas. On campus I do a few different things. I'm part of the virtual and augmented reality development club, and that includes an incubator program where a few different teams get together. They have like different resources. We have access to like tons of headsets on and off campus. It's super cool. I'm also a radio DJ through the student radio station. And so every Sunday from 6 to 7, I have a radio show where I DJ, talk about music. That's pretty fun. And then right now I'm on a 20-person team-ish developing a immersive concert experience through USC's Advanced Games Project program. So that's going to be cool, and we're going to have our first big event in the spring at USC's Spring Fest, which is kind of a yearly concert. So yeah, we'll have a kind of, there'll be a whole dome, there'll be the Magic Leap headset, which is like really fancy. So.
Oh. Well, hello everyone, I'm Cami. I'm a sophomore studying electrical engineering and minoring in dance. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I participate in IEEE, which is the professional organization for electrical engineers. I work in outreach, we do social events and have fun study nights, that sort of thing. I also do research under Antonio Ortega in graph signal processing, which is a part of EE. And I also am an undergraduate TA for his class linear algebra. So that's what I do on campus. This past summer, I was an orientation advisor for USC, where we help new students get acclimated to campus.
Hi everyone, my name is Jose. I'm a senior studying industrial and systems engineering. I'm from Porterville, California, in the Central Valley, about 3 hours north of here. Throughout my time at USC, my freshman year I was in building government, so residential student government. I've also been involved in the USC boxing club. I was in 3-4E for a year, helped build some 3D printed glasses for kids. We never did Halloween masks though, so that was pretty cool. After my sophomore year, I studied abroad with the Viterbi Summer Overseas Program. I was in Rome, Italy for 2 months with Shitaro. And after my junior year, actually in the spring of my junior year, I actually took 6 months off of school and did a co-op at Johnson & Johnson. So I was there doing supply chain for them. And then I came back in my senior year. And after I graduate, I'll be working full-time consulting for Xena.
Woo!
Just had to pass my classes.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Arya. I'm a current senior studying mechanical engineering, and I'm from Austin, Texas. On campus, I'm involved in a lot of environmental activism organizations. So I used to be the director of the Environmental Corps, which is an environmental activism organization on campus. We focus on making sustainable change on campus, be that through getting more solar panels or having more reusable containers from vendors and stuff like that. I was also part of the Environmental Student Assembly, which is raised weird English skills. We promoted activism and sustainability to people on campus. Currently, I am a tutor with the Social Justice Learning Institute, which teaches high school boys of color in the Inglewood area and helps them with their homework and stuff, with the goal of getting them all into four-year colleges after they graduate. 2 summers ago, I did research on sustainable startup development in the Technical University in Berlin through this program called DAAD Rise. Sorry, weird German inflections. And then last summer, I was doing research at the University of Minnesota where I studied wheel loader efficiency. And also, real quick, sorry if I'm a little distracted. I'm controlling the camera with my phone right now, and there's a lot of moving parts, so bear with me.
Also, we're in Aria's house today,
Yes.
so thank you, Aria, for letting us use this space.
We can change some stuff up to make it.
Hi everyone, I'm Ying. I'm a senior studying computer science. I'm from Chandler, Arizona. On campus, I do a couple of things. I do research in the Robotics Embedded Systems Lab, where I'm doing some software work with autonomous vehicles. I'm also the president of Code the Change, which is a student org that builds web apps for nonprofits in LA. So we have yearly projects where we're working as developers on some of those technologies that they'll need. I'm also one of the co-founders of Xena, which is USC's all-female hackathon. And so we planned this annual event. It's going to be in April next year. For the last 2 summers, I was a software engineering intern at Slack, which is a startup in SF, and I will be working there after I graduate.
Hi everybody, my name is Shintaro Nishi. I am a senior studying chemical engineering with a nanotechnology emphasis from Irvine, California. Repping it. On campus, I'm involved with a couple things. First, Troy Camp, so I'm part of the Leaders in Training program, where we mentor and tutor local middle school students through workshops and tutoring sessions. Along with that, I'm also part of Society 53, which is a student alumni organization. So we host events like networking nights, different alumni live chats, and we have a big event called Suppers, where alumni take students out to dinner, and it's this awesome food and great time. So we hope to foster those bonds between the student and alumni, which you guys might have heard about a lot throughout your time at USC. And lastly, I'm part of a social fraternity, Sigma Nu. After my freshman year and junior year, I interned at Gilead Sciences as a process control engineering intern for their drug called Ambizome, which they administer into cancer and HIV patients when their immune systems are down. There you go. And then after sophomore year, I studied abroad in Rome, Italy with Jose, and I was able to backpack around Europe for a couple of weeks after, so yeah.
And last but not least, hi everyone, my name is Des. I am a senior studying civil engineering from Fort Worth, Texas. This year I'm the vice president of our National Society of Black Engineers, which is a professional group that is primarily for Black students in STEM, making sure they have a community as well as providing professional development. So we'll have companies come out to talk to our members, get that one-on-one time, as well as social things like our welcome back barbecue or just a tailgate. I'm also our sponsorship chair of our American Society of Civil Engineers, which is our professional organization for our civil and environmental students. And we also have all of our design teams within that as well. So our concrete canoe, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's still a bridge and a few other teams. And then we basically prepared throughout the whole year for a competition that'll be in SLO this year, so that's exciting. A couple days off from school. And then the past summers I've interned for Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, which is a freight railroad company. And then I was in the Bay Area this past summer working for a company that does construction and project management for BART. So I like trains pretty much. And I think that's about it for all of us, our intros. So that's kind of who we are and what we do. And then we'll jump right into the first question. So Kaylee from Los Angeles asked, is it possible to double major, minor, or get interdisciplinary experience? And I know Cami said that you have a minor in dance, so if you want to talk about that.
It was actually super easy to get my minor. I walked in and I signed a piece of paper and that I had a minor. And I know that's the case for all minors, but that's how it worked for dance. And I know a lot of people also double major and do other types of minors. Sorry, like especially like Shintaro, you have an emphasis, which is really cool. And I just think that having a minor and being able to do like a lot of different things besides engineering like really keeps me focused and able to like have my brain exercise in different ways so I don't feel burned out. So I love having a minor.
Yeah, I would just say though that like I dropped my minor. the other side of the coin. I had a minor in, first it was in business finance, and then it changed to social entrepreneurship. And I took a few classes in each, and then I took my co-op, and then so in order to graduate on time, I just kind of like decided, I'm going to drop my minor, but I still have a lot of free space. Like I'm taking a sailing class next semester, things like that. But I just wanted to take classes that I was interested in. So, I decided to kind of create my own minor of just random things that I like. And so that was also a really cool option as well. It's like them working towards having a certain amount of units or just, taking classes you're interested in.
Totally. And I would say that even with your general education classes that you take through USC, you can do a lot of really cool stuff. I was in a hip hop class, and I tell all these people about hip hop class. I loved it so much. We got to dance and learn about hip hop culture in New York and the Bronx. It was so cool, and it helped one of my requirements through G's. So you have that space in Viterbi to take other elective classes, and you get to take sailing, hip hop, whatever. So it's fun.
Yeah, and I didn't do a minor, nor was I planning to. I just want to take free, fun classes in my spare time, so I'm actually taking beach volleyball next semester. Senior year, so I'm super excited about that. And that's just because I had that space because I didn't do a minor, which is totally fine too.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so, sorry, we're also going to be looking at our laptops sometimes to get the questions from you guys, so yeah. The next question from Drew from Colorado. He asks, when do you have to declare your major, and have any of you switched your major? And then also, kind of along with that, how do those emphases work that we mentioned earlier? So I think I'm the only one that switched my major here. So I'll start off. Oh, you too? Okay, so I started biomedical engineering, and actually 2 years into that, I decided to switch to mechanical because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into the medical field or not, and mechanical is a very broad major. So I basically just walked in, and I was like, hey, I want to switch your major. They said, okay, cool, you're still going to graduate in 4 years. All good, check off. And that was all. So, yeah. I don't know about you.
I switched out of mechanical into industrial within the first 2 months. So I took that freshman academy class that they take, as well as the intro to mechanical engineering. So when you come in, you're probably going to take an intro to whatever you declared, or if you're not sure, you'll take intro to undeclared engineering or something like that.
I think they actually got rid of that. I think now you pick whichever one that you're most interested in, and then you do that intro class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome too.
Yeah.
You'll take an intro class. But that was cool because you got to take engineering classes right away, and then you decide if you like it or not. I liked the design part of it, but I really discovered what industrial engineering was, and I wanted to go that route. And so I talked to my counselor, and he was my advisor, and he was like, hey, you can sign that piece of paper, just like you said. So I guess we switched pretty early, but
Yeah.
there's people that switch a lot.
Yeah.
Can I talk about emphasis?
Yeah. Totally.
Also, me and Jose met in our intro to AV class on the first or second day.
Aww. Cute.
So I didn't switch my major, but I have an emphasis in my it's down.
No.
I don't really know what to do right now.
Well, in case you are looking at us.
If you're still looking at us, you apologize. Technical difficulties.
Oh god.
It's fine.
Wait, maybe not 1 second. I don't really know what to do.
Maybe they can live chat and tell us.
Okay, well, ask a question to me if you can see me right now, because I'm checking you guys, so, let's see. Okay, cool, we're good to go.
Cool.
Sorry, this is the first time that we've tried this new camera setup,
The
so
camera's
we apologize.
It's a little bit of a mess, I'm sorry. But emphases, so I declared my emphasis. I'm a fluids and thermodynamics emphasis in mechanical engineering, and I literally just walked into my person that was like, hey, I want to do this emphasis, just cool, these are the classes that you're taking. I'm no longer doing that emphasis because I realized that I don't actually love fluids as much as I thought I did. But yeah, it was super easy. Everything here to do is super easy.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think personally speaking about my nanotechnology emphasis, I initially got into it because every other chemical engineer seemed to have an emphasis, and I was like, am I doing something wrong? So then I talked to my advisor. She pointed me out to several people that I should talk to, which ended up being the head of the advisor, or head of the department within the chemical engineering department. So I talked to the head of the nanotechnology, who was actually my introductory to chemical engineering class instructor. So we just sat down, he talked to me, he pretty much convinced me that nanotechnology is the future. So I was like, okay, and so I honestly committed on that spot, and like they said, it's just you literally sign a piece of paper, your course load doesn't change a lot. I think it's switches out some optional technical electives for certain electives, and yeah, I've been taking some material science classes for my nanotechnology lab. We deal a lot with gold nanoparticles within labs, within theory, so it's been a really great experience. And you can look up the different amounts of emphases with that. There's 30, right?
Yeah,
30
there's
There's
different.
like 30. It's a lot. That's the thing is also I think a lot of you have been asking like how do you pick your major, and there's a ton of options and it's like super overwhelming. So I think what we're trying to say is like pick one that you think is cool, and then from there you can change anytime, and it's not hard. So don't be too stressed about that because a lot of us we've switched. Like I switched twice, so you'll be fine. One of our friends has switched 4 times,
Yeah.
so you'll be fine.
So switching gears a little bit, but I'm sorry if I butcher this name. Elise from North Carolina. She was asking, is it easy to travel around LA, and what do you like to do in the city?
Yeah, I'll start off here. One of my personal favorite things is going to concerts. I've gone to like quite a few shows, including like small like album release parties, just like a few like miles away, and like small jazz clubs, which was really cool. I did that over the summer. That was amazing. And then there's the Shrine Auditorium right off campus, which I've been to one concert there, and I'm going to one later in November. So it is Brockhampton. So I'm going to that, and I'm really excited for that. So that's one of my favorite things to do around LA.
Yeah. And I think another thing is downtown LA is just super accessible. Like the metro is just like one of the best things I would say here in LA. Like coming from where I was from, like we didn't really have much of a public transportation system. So it's kind of like amazing how you can just walk a couple blocks down to the metro stop and you can go like pretty much anywhere downtown. The Staples Center is like 3 stops from USC. So I've been to like basketball games. I went to the Drake concert a couple weeks ago.
No need to brag.
So it's all super easy to get there. And then once you're there, there's just so much to do.
I would say also like Zach, I'm obsessed with music. But like there's so many like small concerts. I went to one last night that actually was my friend's band, and it was super cool. It was really fun and it was really calming. It was like in a recording studio, so I felt super LA when I was there. And then yeah, I know it was a lot. And then I'm also going to Camp Flogna next week, which is so soon. But there's so many festivals. There's so many like really small things. Like there's so much culture. Do it for the culture.
Yeah. And then I would also say, on top of all of that, like there's a ton of stuff to do in LA, but also like if you decided you were never going to leave the USC campus, you'd be busy like every single hour of every single day for all 4 years though. Like if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So there's like so much stuff to do at USC, and there's so much stuff to do in LA. It's like there's like a buffet of options. You can do everything. It's
Literally
great.
a buffet.
Literally options.
Yeah, food on campus.
Oh,
Free food
that's
at USC.
And in LA.
I don't know.
That's pretty soon in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not.
You gotta know the right places.
Jose knows. Okay, cool. So going more into internships and career stuff, a lot of people, Dylan from Dallas and a lot of others were asking about, can freshmen get internships for after freshman year summer, and then how would you go about that, and does Viterbi like help you do that, getting internships and all that?
Did any of you guys do?
Yeah, I interned with the city of Los Angeles last summer. I was making an augmented reality visualization of a new park that they're building downtown right by City Hall. And yeah, I got that because I was signed up for the VR AR Development Club's newsletter, and they just posted a job opportunity kind of late into the year. They're like, hey, the city's looking for these people. Send this guy an email with your resume, and so I sent it, and I went in, interviewed, and he was like, yeah, this cool.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, cool. So I spent the summer there, and it's now being used like internally, like with presentations and like in the Parks and Recreation department. So it's a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I didn't do an internship, but I had friends that did internships, and I think they got them from like the career fair. I was actually talking to a few freshmen last week, and they actually have interviews lined up.
Yeah.
So like it's very possible. And I know one of them was actually thinking about doing research abroad too.
Yeah.
And I know for the civil department at least, like they have a fully paid 2-week research opportunity for students to go to China. and like all you have to do is pretty much like sign up. So
Yeah.
there's other things you can do too besides intern. Like I took a class after freshman year back at home, so like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't feel like I had to do an internship. I know I've talked to some people like they feel like no, like after the first semester or first year, like we need to get an internship. Like it's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went home, I waited tables, I had fun, I traveled. Like it's just
Yeah.
you do whatever you feel like you want to do, but
Do what makes you happy, you know?
no,
But
but
to add on that, I just want to mention like there are just a lot of resources if an internship is what you want to do. Like Des mentioned, the career fair, recruiters from different companies will basically set up their table and you can just go talk to them. You can give your like 1 minute elevator pitch and say why you want to work there, why you think you'd be like a good match for their company. You can get your resume checked at the career center with Viterbi. And then one thing that I found really useful for me, especially since I'm a computer science major, is a big component of finding internships is doing a technical interview portion, which is like they'll give us a question and we either like have to write the solution like in code on the whiteboard or like kind of on the laptop, and that was just kind of a weird concept to me. Especially the like writing on a whiteboard, because I was like, I would never write code this way. But being part of a bunch of student organizations, they'll have these like interview prep sessions, so they'll come tell you like best tips, just like do some practice problems with you. So that's also like a big resource that's available.
Yeah, I actually have my first tech interview Monday.
Love this. Yeah, and then I'm getting flown out for interviews. That's really cool. So
Those are the
sometimes,
best.
like the companies, the huge companies will come to USC and looking specifically for USC students because the alumni have been so good at the company and they have like such good communication skills and stuff like that they want to come and just hire USC people, like literally, and they'll like pay for your rental car and stuff when you fly. It's fun.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay, just one interjection before we go to the next question. So we've been getting a lot of admission-related questions, like AP scores, like what's going to transfer, what do you put on your application, questions like that. We're just students. We don't really know the answers to that, but you can go ahead and email viterbi.admission@usc.edu if you have specific questions, and you can also go on the website viterbiadmission.usc.edu. If you have more questions, they'll have a lot of information on there that we don't really know the statistics about. So yeah.
they give you answers, they just won't be right.
Yeah, they're not going to, so just don't trust us. No. The next question.
So Catherine from Baltimore wants to know, is it possible to study abroad as an engineer? And I think I heard Jose and Shintaro mention that you guys studied abroad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We had a good time. Yeah, go.
Alright, well, hello Catherine from Baltimore. So Jose and I we went to Rome, Italy through the Viterbi Abroad program. So it is a summer program which rotates locations every summer. Last year it was Florence, the year before was Rome where Jose and I went, and this year it's Paris. So it's a 7-week program. There are 4 classes offered, which is 1 upper division writing class, a industrial systems engineering class, and a mechanical engineering thermodynamics class, and then 1 class that's kind of based on the culture of the. So did you take that one?
I didn't end up taking. I wish I would have.
Okay, yeah, me too.
It was history. So history of Rome. So they got to take like walking tours. Like you get one of the years they got to go, like apparently behind like in the Vatican and stuff.
Oh,
Crazy area.
it's
So that was
very fancy.
cool. But
Yeah.
those are awesome classes. What else? I mean, you go to school like what, Monday through Thursday, and then you have weekend trips. So I went to Nice on a weekend. We had like a couple organized ones to the Amalfi Coast. It was awesome. So you're learning at the same time. You go with 40 other people, and you have 40 other people, and you have USC professors. So it's really cool to have that. It's like USC gets transported over to Italy.
Yeah, and also one of like the best things about the program itself is you take classes with so many like people that you actually never met through your classes, because like I think the best friends I've made on that trip were different engineering majors, which was an awesome experience. I remember one day we were sitting out by the Coliseum, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. Like we should all hang out during school. And that was just like a great time, and 7 weeks fly by. Being in a new city is awesome. You get to travel around so much, and that's not like an anomaly for engineering students. One of our friends, Isis, on that trip actually went abroad again in the springtime. I guess he liked being abroad so much. And so he was in London and Luan too. Actually, two of the other engineers. So they enjoy that. I know Ria's gone to China.
Yeah.
Or research, research
Yeah,
position.
you've researched abroad.
Yeah, so centered on my face. So I did research abroad in Berlin through this program that's through the German government. So it's called DAAD Rise or DAAD Rise. The way that I found it was I walked into the Career Services Center at USC and I was like, hey, I want to go to Germany because I'm obsessed with Germany. How do I do this? And they were like, this is how you do. I'm so obsessed with Germany. Side note that like at one of like the events that we had as ambassadors, we were supposed to like pick a song and people had to guess what it was. And I picked a German song because I'm the lamest person I know. But yeah, no, it was super fun. It wasn't through USC at all, so it was like I met people from around the world. And it was super great. Some of like the best friends that I still talk to this day were from there, and I met them literally a year and a half ago. I learned about like German entrepreneurship and like sustainability in Germany, which is really cool because it's like a really big emphasis in Germany. It's like Energiewende, which I could talk about for ages. It's super cool, but I won't because we only have an hour. But yeah, no, it's super easy to study abroad, which is kind of really nice.
And also, you don't have to go for a whole summer or a whole semester. I did IPODIA, which is a class. It's Engineering 345, something about innovation. But basically, what it is, it's a classroom in Ronald Tudor Hall where you go in and you have computer screens and you're talking with people from 11 different universities at the same time. So one day, a professor from USC might do a lecture, and one day someone from Germany. That's what it reminded me. Someone from Germany, or someone from Greece, or someone from Taiwan that we would do a lecture, and we just learn about product development in different cultures. The other thing too would be that at the end of the class in December, we got to go and actually meet those people that we met, that we had been interacting with all summer or all semester. So that was really, really cool, and that's only a week of abroad. But I know that there's also like the civil engineering class that people did.
Yeah. So I know there's also Engineering Without Borders, which is an organization within Viterbi, and they go abroad. They work on a project throughout the year, semester, and they go to that country and. I don't know exactly, but I guess they
Water
build-
projects.
they build
yeah,
something
yeah.
and they go to the country and like put it to use. So that's something that I know people have done. I actually have a friend who's a junior this semester within the environmental department. He's going to Iceland for his spring break for like a week. I don't know why. I think it's
alternative spring break.
those two. So like I'm a little jealous because I might be going home, but like there are other ways like a lot shorter than a semester or a month or 6 weeks to go abroad to just study and like be with friends and learn about new places and culture. So that's also an option.
I actually did the alternative spring break my sophomore year. I spent a week of my spring break in Guatemala, and so for like the first 2 days we traveled around Guatemala City, went to different cities, and then eventually we got to our site and we worked on the infrastructure for a school. They spoke zero English. I spoke very little, like 2 years of Spanish in high school, amount of Spanish, and it was just a great learning experience, just getting able to, I don't know, just, I guess, expand my world and horizons, which was really awesome.
And how did you do your alternate spring break? Who did you do it for?
Oh, it was just a school provided program. So you just apply into it, you interview, and then you have a couple meetings before you leave, just to talk about the mission, just to talk about certain values you want to bring. And then you have an on-campus volunteering or like trip, and then you go for spring break.
Okay, cool. Because you can also do it through like religious orgs. So I'm a part of the Catholic Center at USC. So you can do that through religious orgs. I know like the University Center has that. You have like through the school, or you can do it through your like specific like martial or
Right, or even student organization.
student orgs, yeah.
Right.
So there's so many options. There are so many options.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not talking about it.
Yeah, we'll speak up a little more. So the next question has been asked a ton of times, probably like 40, 50 of you, about research. And so the question is about basically how do you get research as an undergrad? You guys are also very like into research, which is really cool because you aren't even in college yet, which is awesome. So how do you get research? Have you guys done research? What is research like? All of that stuff.
I can start. I think I was similar. Like in high school, I thought I've never really done research, so I want to make sure I do it when I'm in college. So I started looking for opportunities like my freshman year. At first, I was like, I'm a freshman. Like I have no like background. Like why would you want me working in your lab? But it was really easy. I just went online to the CS department. I looked up a couple of the research labs that I thought were interesting to me. mostly robotics at the time because that's what I was interested in. So I just emailed a couple of professors, and they got back to me and said like, hey, let's meet up, let's just talk about what you're interested in doing, what we have available. And then I ended up working for the interaction lab on campus. So we did.
Everyone works for that lab. That's
Yeah.
14 friends in that lab, right?
So they worked on socially assistive robotics. And then I switched to the robotics embedded systems lab, so I did more software work for them. I was kind of looking into different algorithms on how autonomous vehicles can move around and how to control that and which ways are better. But the way it works is pretty much kind of like how you want to structure your own research. And I had an advisor who was a PhD student, and we'd like meet maybe twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week, just to catch up on what I was doing and what like I wanted to do the next week. So it was very like up to me on what I wanted to do and like how I wanted to spend my time doing research.
Oh yeah, I also do research in signal processing, which is kind of the more CSE side of EE, because it is a lot of data analytics. But what I really like about it is it's so on my own time because I don't have to go into a lab. I can do all my work on my computer, so I can sometimes do it when I normally would never be able to walk into a lab. So if it's at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, and that's my free time, I actually get to like do work, and it's easier for my schedule. And my professor, I get to meet with him and we talk about it, and it's like part of his book that he's writing right now too. So it's like really cool that like we're producing like graphs and products that he's like looking at and like using to like further his research too. So yeah, I love doing it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, my experience getting research was also freshman year, and I basically just blast emailed like everyone in the biomedical engineering department. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'll just email everyone. I got a few different interviews, and all they basically ask you is you sit with the professor, and they say like, how much time do you want to put towards this? Like, how much time do you have in your schedule? And you tell them, and they're like, okay, cool, like hop on board. Like, what kind of project do you want to work on? So they don't expect you to know anything, and I think a lot of times going into engineering degrees, like including myself, I was really worried because I had no experience coming in from high school, but you don't need experience coming in from high school. Like, you're supposed to learn, you're in school, right? And so I had a PhD mentor that brought me through everything, and I worked there in the summer, and I actually was able to get published through that, which is a super awesome opportunity. And it was really easy for me to join. So yeah.
And again, thank you to everyone watching right now. If you're just joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. I really wanted to do that. We have about 30 minutes to go. And our next question is from Holly from Texas. Oh, Texas. And she wants to know, is the environment in Viterbi competitive or collaborative? And I actually want to start this one. So I no longer do work by myself at this point. It's funny, so it's like whenever the professor gives the assignment or whatever it is, I like turn to my friends, my classmates, I'm like, okay, so when are we working on this? I don't know if other people do that, and it's not necessarily because it's hard, but you realize I don't know how to do math. So like if I'm going through an assignment, I'm like, I know how to do the steps, and like we compare answers, not like copying, just comparing to see if we know what we're doing. And she's like, Des, this is not adding up. Or I'm like, I'm pretty sure I did it right. You didn't add this correctly. Alright, so it's a nice check to make sure, one, you know what you're doing. Because sometimes I just don't understand the concept and I need a little more help. And my classmates may understand that one more, so they're easier to like help me understand versus having to go to office hours or something like that. And then just like working with friends is nice. And then I know we had like assigned groups for like lab groups. I know I had a couple of groups so far, which is like, it's not competitive, like we're all working on the same thing together, we're gonna help each other out. So I've never felt like USC was in a competitive environment since I've been here at least, so far so good.
Yeah. To like build off of that, I think so computer science assignments, just like the nature of them, you like write your own code, it's very hard to like go step by step and like compare like, did I add this correctly? So while it is kind of like individual assignments, I find it really helpful, especially if I'm like stuck and don't know like how to think about the solution. Just like talk to my friends about like, I was thinking about doing it this way, but then I got stuck and like this blocked me, and then they'll be like, oh, but then I found like a different way to do it, and kind of just talking about it helps a lot more when I actually go sit down and like write it out in code. So just like the nature of the projects, we do them individually, but it's still super helpful to like sit together and like just having like the presence of other people is also very encouraging.
I think you bring up a good point about engineering in general, which I didn't get when I was in high school, is that a lot of it is you thinking and talking out loud to other people.
Yeah.
So like just the interaction of like trying to get your brain around something and like understand, it's really, really hard to do by yourself. And it's like, engineering is designed to be collaborative.
I would also say like I'm at this, so I'm in like 400 level classes, like all senior level classes, obviously because I'm a senior. But like our professors will literally give us homework and be like, work with your friends on this. And then you work with your friends on it, you still don't know what you're doing. It's rough, but like most of my really good friends were in my major I made because like we sit in the same area and do homework and like commiserate and like celebrate together.
It's funny you mentioned that because our professor has this rule that he calls the Hearthstone rule. So I don't know if any of you know, but Hearthstone is like a video game. And he'll say like, spend 30 minutes like talking to your friends about the assignment and your solution, like literally only talking. Go play 30 minutes of the video game and then go do the assignment. Like he'll write it on our assignment sheet. Like this is my rule. This is pretty funny.
And also along with that, I guess industry is always going to be a collaborative environment.
Yeah.
You're not going to go work out and just literally just be working by yourself. So along with my classes, we have a lab right now. So the group consists of 3 other people, and honestly, sometimes managing a team might be even harder than just sizing up a reactor. And you gotta learn to like, work with other people, like figure out your own working style and how you can accommodate that with other people and just create the best product that you can.
Yeah, but I also think like that's one of the reasons why I chose USC. We'll talk about that a little later, but like everyone here is super collaborative and works well in teams, like really well in teams. I think that's why we're like recruited in the workforce and like all that stuff, because everyone is able to collaborate and you're never going to work alone in an engineering team ever. So it's great practice for like real life, whatever that is. Cool. Yeah, so then on that note, the next question, we've got a ton of interest in design teams and what those are. So can you guys talk a little bit about like what kind of design teams you've worked on and what projects you've done in those? We're talking about concrete bridge or something like that.
Those are 2 different
Concrete bridge! The concrete canoe! Concrete bridge is a real thing.
So I mentioned this earlier, Concrete Canoe is a student-led design team that was involved in freshman year, and then I still help out this year as my roommate's actually, she was captain last year, and so I was like, I'll be a good person and help out. But it's literally a canoe made out of concrete, which sounds crazy, but the students are in charge of getting the mix design, designing the actual structure of the bridge, and we have faculty advisors to help out with us, as well as PhD students and masters and grad students will actually come out and help us with that and our other design teams, as well as Still Bridge, which I was on last year. So these design teams, I don't know if it's similar for the other design teams, but we work throughout most of the fall semester and half of the spring semester for a competition. So like we just grind out for the semester, getting everything done. So fabricating all of the steel pieces for the bridge, mixing that canoe, it's a lot. That's a full day process. But I think Concrete Canoe has about 10 people on the team in Still Bridge this year. I'm not involved heavily, but I think there's a ton of freshmen this year. And it's just students like working on stuff like in the lab with tools that I would never have used. Like the sparks scare me a little bit. Like you're just in there like doing everything. Like you don't have really much supervision. It's like whatever you want to do, which is cool. Like you're doing all the heavy lifting and everything. So
I'm on like a slightly different design team. So I'm on Code to Change. Like I mentioned, we partner with nonprofits in LA who need something built for them, whether it's a website or a mobile app or an internal tool, and we'll spend the entire year working out that. So it's not quite as tangible as a concrete canoe, but we split up into 3 different teams, and each team has a project manager, a designer, and then a tech lead, as well as all of the developers. So we work in a very industry-like fashion where we have the product manager talking to the clients, who are those nonprofits, and they kind of detail the type of product that they want to see, and then throughout the year we stay in touch with the clients to make sure that what we're building is up to par with what they wanted, and we'll do demos throughout the year, and at the end of the year we actually just deliver it to them for them to use, hopefully. So we've been doing that with a lot of different nonprofits, and it's different, I guess, because it's like we don't have quite as much supervision, but it's also very similar, I think, to how it's been in the industry, especially after an intern. is like so much of it is working for people and like kind of working together to focus on like the design and the different specs and kind of see it as it goes along. So that's a different type of design. I know Cam is also in a design team.
So I just recently joined RPL, which is the Rocket Propulsion Laboratory, which is pretty straightforward. You send a rocket up into space. I actually joined because of one of our friends. I was talking to her and I was like, oh, this is such a cool club, but like you have to be like in aerospace or like mechanical or like that kind of thing. And I'm an EE, so I didn't really think there was like a space for like EE on the team. But then it turns out that like it's a huge part of it, and like I'm now part of the avionics team, which focuses on like figuring out like tracking all the data that you need. And then like I think that's another important part about all these design teams is that it may sound like one like, oh, it's only for aerospace or it's only for civil, it's only for like CS majors. But like it's a really big team and they need different types of engineers from everything. So like I've really enjoyed getting to work with all these AMEs and NECIs and all these different types of engineers that I wouldn't normally interact with. But now I am because I'm helping with circuit board design.
Yeah, so I'm part of a kind of design club. I'm not on one of the teams. I'm helping like organize them, which is, I mentioned earlier, the Virtual Reality and Augmented Reality Development Club. XRSC is what we're now calling ourselves. But yeah, so that one, it's small groups, about like 4 or 5, and they're not all engineers like at all. We have some people from outside of Viterbi doing like real estate and music and other kind of entertainment things, and then kind of seeing how it all falls under like the virtual reality, augmented reality umbrella, and kind of these teams like work together in like small groups to have a deliverable like demo in the fall, and then in the spring we have our student festival, which everyone who's made like a immersive project comes out, and then we highlight like the teams that went through our program. So that one's really cool because there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out of it. There's like a meditation application coming out of there. There's some like music visualization stuff. There are a few people making games, which I'm helping them out with making games. But
Whenever you say something, we're like, ooh.
I mean that's me whenever I see any of this stuff. Like everything just so new. I put on a headset, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I did not know that was possible. So.
Yeah, I think also one of my favorite parts is I'm in the 3D printing club, which is also kind of a design team, and it's not just about like what you're doing in the lab or in the project. It's like the social scene of it too, kind of. So like your social group isn't separated from your school group or your like student organizations. It's all kind of intertwined, which is something I really love because it's like you meet people that are also interested in the same things as you, and then you hang out and have like a tailgate with them or whatever. Even though you're just 3D printing, so it's fun. It's like a cool juxtaposition. Yeah.
Like we went camping a bunch of times.
Yeah, we went camping with 3D40. Yeah, it was really fun.
I want to add also, if you guys can come to Discover USC,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
November
18th.
November 18th. We're gonna have like most of the design teams or almost all the design teams there, so you can like go and talk to everyone. And I'm pretty sure on the website we also have all the design teams listed.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in any of them, there's like an aerospace one that's called the Air Design Team, which is like my personal favorite because I really like fluids and airplanes. And they build an RC, remote controlled airplane for them to fly at competition every year. There's also a racing club where they build a race car that they drive. And there's like solar car team, which it's like powered by solar panels. It's engineering's wild.
And I think just a key point I don't think any of us said it, but like you don't have to know anything about anything to join the design teams. Like they understand like you're here to learn, so they're really good about teaching all of us within the design team. So it's a very good point. And then Wendy from Maine was wondering what type of support is there for women in engineering and just other underrepresented communities?
I can talk about it. So when my co-founders and I for Xena Hacks started thinking about starting this all-female hackathon, we originally became really close friends. Freshman year, we lived in the same dorm together. We found those few female in computer science majors, and we just became really good friends. And we thought that it would be really cool to kind of build a community for people who are interested in hackathons as well. But of course, we had no idea where to start. We didn't know what it meant to start an organization, to plan an event that needed a venue that could hold up to 300 people. But the Viterbi faculty and staff was really, really supportive. We got a faculty advisor who helps us deal with any like logistics things, and also is just there if we want to talk about like our ideas and whatnot. But then Viterbi administration has given us a lot of support in terms of finding us a sponsor. So our largest sponsor is actually a partnership through Viterbi. So we end up getting a lot of money and like a lot of support in finding the venue to make that event happen. So a lot of our success the first year was because we had so many people get behind the idea, and we were able to kind of make this like a community where people could feel happy going to hackathon. And I actually talked to some people who went when they were seniors in high school, and now they're at USC. They said that Xena Hacks was like a big reason why they came.
Oh, that's so
Kind
cool.
of to add to the whole like diversity thing, I'm part of SHIP, which is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. It's kind of is a community that like supports and uplifts and like empowers people of Hispanic descent. I'm also part of it because it's not just for Hispanic people, which is great because like all my friends are in SHIP, so it's weird if I couldn't hang out with them. But it's super cool. So they have a whole bunch of conferences that they go to. There's SHIP National, which is this week. You're right. Wow. And then a couple weeks ago there was HEDAC, which is kind of another conference, but they also have general body meetings where they teach you how to like write a good resume or how to network. And then there's also social events like tailgating and stuff like that. So it's a really good community. All of the diversity organizations like SWE and NESB and SHIP, they're all under the Center for Engineering Diversity, and they actually have like a specific area where you can also like study, and they have their own employees that like help you with a bunch of things, be that like funding or like support or like STEM outreach.
Yeah, and I actually last year was a CED mentor, Center for Engineering Diversity. I was a mentor. I'm a junior, and I was mentoring 2 freshmen who were coming in. And basically all being a mentor is kind of helping them navigate. If you're a first generation college student, I was a first generation college student, so it's kind of for them to see like, okay, like what is college like? How can I help you? What classes should you take? Things like that maybe you normally wouldn't otherwise have. That was something that you got to give, and then eventually those people became my friends, and you just kind of, you don't see it as a mentorship thing. It's just someone that you like meet up with and have coffee with every once in a while. And then I'm also part of SHIP. It's a running joke because I paid my dues since like freshman year, and I'll go to maybe like 2 or 3 events, but I'm always like looking out for their newsletters, for their Facebook events, because first of all they're super useful as far as networking goes. They're super useful as far as just like general tips. So even if you're not super involved all the time, it's good to just have those. Be on those newsletters, sign up for all the emails. So.
And I can add, when I was doing my summer research after freshman year, I was lucky enough to get a Women in Science and Engineering fellowship, and so I got paid to do research through that. And then every week I got to get lunch with like the fellows who were like 10 or 15 girls that were doing science and engineering research, and we got to like make an abstract of our research and present a poster, and it was just an awesome experience getting to meet all those girls. And like it's just a great community at USC, and we have the new class is about 45% women, something like that, in engineering, which is so cool, just so cool. So yeah, we have an awesome community. And then I wanted to interject another time. Before we get to our next question, if you're just tuning in, welcome to the live chat, Fall 2018 Viterbi Live Chat. Right now we're taking questions that were submitted by you, prospective students, on our website. Some of you asked questions that we've already answered involving research and internships and things like that. So we're going to post this whole 1-hour thing on our website. The link is in the Instagram bio. It's viterbivoices.usc.edu/live. So check that out after if we missed your question. Also, if you asked a very specific question, we'll email you personally a response. So yeah, check that out later on. And then the next question, Justin from Glendale is asking, at Viterbi, is the classes more hands-on or more theoretical or both? How does it balance that in your classes?
I'm gonna answer that. Just because my favorite class, we got to break a lot of stuff. So that was like, as a civil, I love doing that because we were testing it to failure basically. This was like the lab component of the class. So we still had to do a report on it and everything, and there was class and lecture, but we got to break stuff. It was really fun. I actually don't have any labs this semester, which is really sad, but typically a lot of my classes have a lab component with the actual lecture time, which I really like, the hands-on stuff, but it's a good balance.
Yeah, I think almost every semester I've had a class that is more focused on the theory of computer science that's also partnered with a class that is more of the practical application of it. So like freshman year, you take a class on like intro to algorithms and kind of the theory behind like how to write a good algorithm or how to write a fast algorithm and kind of those theoretical ideas. And the other class was implementing those algorithms. So taking everything that you've learned and actually writing it out in C++ or Java or whatever the class would be using at the time. So it was really cool to be learning about the theory and then also kind of being able to build it and like writing the code for it. So I think that's like pretty much been like that all of my semesters. I've kind of had like a theory class and a hands-on class, and it's really cool to see how those two tie in.
I think for me also, especially this semester, I have a lot more design classes, so they're like really hands-on. So I'm in senior design right now, which is the coolest class I've ever taken in my entire life. It's so much fun. So you go through like not a great time junior year when you're taking all these like prerequisites that you have to do that's like very hands-on but also very like theoretical, like fluids, and then you build a bottle rocket. And there's mecha
right now.
Yeah. And then there's mechatronics, which is like you learn everything, and then you have a lab, and then you like apply everything in that lab, and it's really overwhelming. But you learn a lot, and that all leads to senior design for mechanical engineering, and it's dope. You can make, you can just pretty much do whatever you want, and then you have a faculty advisor, and then you can either do like a research project or a design project. So my group's doing a research project where seeing what how the thrust output changes for a flapping fin that's like flapping like this if you change the radius of curvature on the fin, because that makes it like buckle only in one direction, so you get a greater thrust output, and we're trying to see if that'll increase the maneuverability of an underwater autonomous vehicle.
Whoa.
It's super cool. We just started collecting
Pretty
data.
chill.
No big deal. I think it's the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But, but there's like a whole bunch of things like that. Like every single class I'm in right now has like a design component that's like pretty hands-on.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's like a 50-50 balance, at least for mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even in like industrial engineering, where like people are like, "What do you do? Like you don't do anything." It's really, we have a senior design class too, and we're building systems. And the cool thing too is that in our senior design class, you're working with real companies like DHL. I'm working with aerospace corporations. So ours is cool because it's really like a new product development thing, and it's classified, so it's cool. So you're thinking through the process of how to manage an engineering project, of how to, you think about every single little part that goes into new product development, things like that, and that's pretty cool. And ISC is pretty cool.
Yeah. I also think like the theory, it might seem like we're hating on theory, but like the theoretical classes are like how you get there, and that like one time in a class where you're like, oh my god, differential equations and physics and this all come together, and that's how you make this.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, it's so cool, and I feel like that's what's happening for me junior year right now, as I'm in these classes where everything is coming together and everything links, and it just like all makes sense at once, and you're like, this is so awesome. Engineering is so cool.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest experience I've had with like theory is like, since I'm a computer science games major, I get to dip into the cinema school. So like some of my theory has been like game design. Like the first games class I took was like a philosophy of interactives and like entertainment and like what is games, what is play, and
What is play?
yeah, and so like now like this year like I'm making a ton of stuff all the time. Now I'm making game after game, and it's kind of just been like really nice to kind of have been able to like think about that and like have that experience. Not, sitting in front of a computer programming, but like working with other people and just like thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
So we got a few questions about our CS program here at USC and kind of what that looks like. So I guess for UCS people, what does that look like? Are there hackathons? What are the outside of class activities? And then can you work with the school cinematic arts and you work within that school?
If you want to talk
So I'll start with the cinematic arts. I work with cinematic arts people quite a bit, and that's not only limited to the people taking the game design major through the cinematic arts. There's media arts and practices. I've even worked with people from the Iovine and Young Academy, which are super interested. So kind of my experience with that is like anybody who's been interested in like immersive projects, entertainment, I've really gotten to work with them and kind of like dip into like and see what like kind of new perspective they're bringing. One of the things I'm working on right now with an animation major someone from the Irving and Young Academy, and then another computer science games major is an animation tool for virtual reality. So basically being able to put a headset on someone and then create like cool and like convincing animations by like basically just like playing with toys and like action figures and like in like kind of like a virtual environment. So that's been super cool. But yeah, outside of that, do you want to talk about just what CS is?
Yeah. So just kind of more in general about the CS program. Like I mentioned, there's a really good balance of those theoretical classes in addition to those hands-on classes where you're actually coding and doing some programming projects. Outside of classes though, there are a lot of different CS orgs. So some are focused on entrepreneurship and kind of using those skills we build in class to work on a project that can be used in the industry. And so there are a lot of different orgs that work around those. There's Spark SC, there's Lava Lab, there's Code to Change. So those are some of the orgs that you can join to kind of build those skills. You can also participate in hackathons. And so those are basically 24-hour periods where you work on a team of 4 and you build a project. You can go to workshops. If you've never built an iOS app before, you can go to like a 1-hour workshop, learn how to do it, and kind of just like try to build it yourself. And so I found that the nature of the CS program is just very, you find something you're interested in, and then there will always be a group of people who would be willing to work on that with you.
Yeah. And I know a lot of that can kind of sound intimidating to people. That like once you're here, like you're expected to know how to program well, and then like as soon as you get here, join something and make crazy stuff. Which I thought I knew a lot about computer science and programming coming into USC, just because there wasn't a lot of it at my high school. Like there was the AP computer science class, and I took it, and I did a year of Java. After that, I did like competitive Java with like other schools. I was like, and then I got here and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I didn't know as much as I thought I did. Which is like, and it's kind of all like everyone's kind of like in the same boat. So like if people who know a lot, like obviously they have like a foundation in programming, but people who don't, like I've like some friends who like hadn't touched a programming language, didn't make anything before they came here, but then they were onboarded in the intro to computer science class, and very soon, like by now, like everyone's at very much the same level and like is able to like go off and like join their own things and do what they're interested in.
Cool. Yeah, so it looks like we have time for one more question. Unfortunately, I know we'd love to answer questions from you guys all day, but a lot of people have been asking why we chose USC. Why USC over any other engineering school? For some of us, it's been a few years. For others, it's been more recent. But yeah, the question is just why USC, and we'll start with Des right here.
So I don't know if I told some of you guys, but both of my parents actually went to SC, so I have a little bias. But I think ultimately I wanted to have a good time at college besides just going to class, like get good grades, all that good stuff, but I wanted to make sure I had fun too, and students here have a life outside of just going to class, so I thought that was really cool, because like, I want to come explore in LA and have a good time, go to Santa Monica, the beach, do whatever, at a good engineering school. And then the Center for Engineering Diversity is something we mentioned. A lot of schools didn't have that, so I thought that was a really cool thing that USC has specifically for underrepresented students, just within the engineering school itself.
Oh yeah. Like when I was in high school and I figured out, I was like, hey, maybe I want to do the games thing. If you Google it, USC, top one every time. And then like as I was kind of looking into it, like there are a few schools that like offered kind of similar programs, not really the same, but like in addition to like having like a really cool major, there was like a really awesome like community behind it, and just like people were like, hey, like go out and do that, and there'll be people supporting you along the way, and like there'll be tons of people doing it along with you, and I thought that was super cool. And then obviously I wanted to go to Los Angeles. Like Los Angeles is super cool. I love Los Angeles, so it just made sense to me.
Well, there's like 2 major reasons why I chose USC. The first is I went to a performing arts high school, so I was really, really heavily involved in the arts. and there aren't that many schools that have a strong arts program and a strong engineering program. So like USC was like one of the three that are strong in both. So that was pretty easy choice. And then also, I was talking about this with you earlier, but I watched the live chat as a senior in high school, and I was really impressed by like how easygoing and like just natural the engineers were. Like they felt like people I would be friends with and like were easy to talk to, and it just kind of changed my perception of like, oh, like the stereotypical engineer, and I was like, oh, these people are cool, like I want to be around them and be friends with them, and yeah, just those two things was like, where else could I go? Yeah.
So I'm a senior now, and I've answered this question a few times now, and so I was really thinking about it on my drive over here, and like, and I don't know, like, yeah, jeez. But really, you know, when it boils down to it, and I think about, you know, how I came to be here, it kind of baffles me, right? I came from a single mother who, like, from an area where not very many people finish high school, let alone, you know, come to college, and so like, education was always drilled into me where like I needed to get into college, and I was like, okay, I need to get into college, but what college, where, whatever, no, it didn't really cross my mind until like junior year when I was starting to apply. And so when you get here, you know, I've always, you know, I would go to a USC Notre Dame football game and like sit in the bleachers up in the top and like eat sandwiches in the parking lot with my family, and then I discovered it was a good school. But you know, just being able to come here, you see the opportunities that are available to you. You see, like, all of you guys have different things that you're involved in. You know, it's easy to make this big school seem really small. Where like all of us have found our homes. You know, for me it was like, yeah, engineering, BSA, these friends, but also like the Catholic Center. I found that in my home. I found other, you know, orgs where I could have like a little home in like an unfamiliar place. And so that, like, for me, it just comes down to opportunities and the fact that you can do, you know, whatever you want here, and you just have to, you know, try, like, look hard enough for it, and it's here. And so it just really comes down to that.
Sorry, I think I'm tearing up a little bit after that. My answer is kind of twofold. So I started considering USC because I wanted to go to an engineering school where I could also, like, be more than an engineer, because I knew I wasn't only interested in math and science. I'm really interested in like a lot of like social justice issues and like music and like running and being a person. So I wanted to go I wanted to go to a school that like had both, and USC was one of the only schools that would let me do that. And then after I like started considering USC more and I applied and then I was admitted, we came to visit, me and my parents came to visit, and we were walking down Truesdale, which is like the main road on campus, and we passed by like these people who were tabling. I think they were tabling for like some sunglass company. I don't know what, but they called us over and they're like, hey, are you interested in sunglasses? And then we started, no, I don't like sunglasses also. Sorry. We started talking about USC, and I told them that I was like a prospective student, and they literally talked to me for 15 minutes about like their experience at USC and like how collaborative and how supportive and how like great it was. And I think the fact that like real students who had no reason to be doing this like talked to me about their USC experience made me feel really valued as a prospective student. And I feel like that's kind of just continued on as I've been here. Like Jose was saying, like, you find your family here. I found people that I didn't know it was possible to be as kind as the people that I have met here, and as supportive as the people that I've met here. It's a little overwhelming. I've actually been journaling a lot about that. But yeah, it's just so supportive and so nice, and everyone's so diverse and so like warm and fuzzy.
Wow. Everyone has spoken so much. What do we even say? So I think for me, as a high school senior, I think I consider myself like a very logical person, like the type of person to do like the pros and cons of each school and like the lists and the spreadsheets and like all the things with all the numbers and everything, like, you know, all that. Like I did that as a senior. But I was really lucky. I was able to visit campus, and like Arya mentioned, that is like one of the biggest factors in me choosing USC was being able to like picture myself on campus talking to real students. I was staying at one of the students' dorms on campus and just kind of like seeing her friends walk in and just be like, hey, how was calculus today? Like, did you do the homework? Just kind of like the way they talk to each other. They were having fun, even though it was like a Wednesday night or something like that. They were having a great time, and it was less logical to me when I made my decision. It was more of like, I can picture myself going here. I can like picture myself making friends and kind of having that day-to-day life. So I think like my biggest advice is like go by where you feel like you would be the happiest going to school.
Yeah. So I grew up in Southern California.
California.
In Irvine, California to be specific, and I absolutely love Southern California. I don't think I can deal with the cold. So I kind of knew initially I wanted to go to school somewhere that's warm. My sister actually got into school 3 years before me, and she absolutely loved it. And I've always been someone that kind of followed my sister around doing kind of stuff that she did. So initially that's like what brought the idea into my mind, like I want to go to USC. And then so one summer I actually visited her, and we just walked around campus. We went to the engineering part of campus, and then she was just like, go ask them for a brochure. And as a nervous high schooler, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go. But I, just got really brave and faced my fears, and I talked to the front desk lady, and she's like, oh, actually our associate dean of admissions is actually here to talk to you if you want. And I was like, okay. So yeah, we went upstairs to our TH211 where we have our meetings, and we just talked about what engineering is, why I should be interested in engineering, and just honestly everything about that. And it was actually Mr. Apre that was up there with us. So that finally was like, I know I'm going to go to USC, like no matter what it takes, I'm going to go there. And yeah, I actually kept his business card that he gave me on the day, like in my wallet, and it's just keep it around. So yeah.
I think the big point is try to visit campus if you can. Like Arya mentioned, Discover is Sunday, November 18th. So you can talk to students, and like Viterbi staff and administration will be there, and all the design teams we were talking about. So like that was such a big factor. If you can make it, that would be awesome.
And come say hi to us too.
True. So I'll wrap up the why USC section. So I think when I was applying to engineering schools, I was like kind of afraid of engineers. Does that make sense? Like I was like, I don't belong in this group of people, like for many reasons. And so I was like, I don't really want to go to an engineering school where engineers are just being engineers, doing homework all the time, like, and that's it. And I came to explore USC, so another reason to come on campus. And I talked to engineering students, and they were involved in like so much cool stuff, and were so passionate about things that weren't just math and science. They were passionate about math and science, like we are, but also like activism and VR and every single thing that you've heard about today. People are so interested in, and we have so many other schools at USC because it's such a huge school that you can get involved in dance and theater and so many things. And it's such a huge, like a small school inside of a big school, if that makes sense. And just the community of all of that and diversity of that is really why I think I came here. So. Yeah, and that was our last question. So we hope you enjoyed the live chat tonight. If you missed any of it, you can watch the whole thing on the website later.
And then if you guys have any admission-related questions, you can just visit our website at viterbiadmission.usc.edu. Just visit there.
Yeah, and then like we talked about, if you want to visit campus, that's super helpful in deciding on colleges, in my opinion. So you can come to our Meet USC program, and those run on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so you'll get a tour, and then you'll come and talk to one of us about the engineering school after, which is really fun. And then we have Discover USC, which we've plugged like 5 times, but it's on November 18th. Come, it's a Sunday. We'll all be there. There's going to be micro seminars, lab tours with faculty, presentations with everything you need to know about applying, things you've asked that we don't know the answers to. You can ask the admission people. And yeah, so it's happening. It's coming up, and come see us.
Yeah, and as a final reminder, deadline for merit scholarships is December 1st. I highly recommend applying for things. You never know. And if you want to learn more about us, who we are, and what we do, you can visit our website at viterbivoices.usc.edu. And if you have any other questions, you can also send them there as well.
Yeah. And so thank you guys for joining us. Good luck on all your college apps and all your decisions. And fight on.
Fight on.